From here, I'll offer a sun salutation variation. Might look down at your feet, reach up high overhead, lower your hips, reaching forward for chair. Tuck that tail to lengthen the low back. You might choose to sit lower. Lifting the hips, reaching towards the floor. Option to fold. You might half lift. Again, tucking the tail, lengthening the back, flattening the back, leading with your heart to dive forward and fold. Walking hands and feet apart, hips stay lifted, downward facing dog. Shifting the shoulders forward, you might find a plank. Option to stay here or lower the knees. Shooting the elbows straight back, skimming the sides of the rib cage, you can lower to your belly. Adjusting as needed. You might bend one heel, bringing it towards your hips. The hand could reach back and maybe catch the ankle. Just opening the front of that hip. Kick the foot back, releasing the ankle if grasped, and switch sides. Bringing the opposite heel towards your seat. Maybe reaching behind with the same side hand to grasp the ankle before kicking it back towards the floor. Inhale, inflate your belly, handprints come outside of your shoulders. Maybe your sternum peels away from the mat for cobra. Exhale as you lower. You might press your hips back towards your heels, reaching forward with your hands for child's pose. Rest here for a breath or two if you choose. As you're ready, shift forward, coming into low or high plank. Tucking the toes. Lift the hips towards the sky, pressing into both hands on both feet, downward facing dog. Option to lift one foot high in the air. Squeeze your knee towards your nose, step forward. You might replace a hand or step between both hands. Stepping out with your back foot, spin your heel down towards center, bringing your foot to somewhat of a 45-degree angle. Once your foundation is set, press into both feet. The front knee stays bent. The hands might lift for strong warrior one. Deep breath in here. And exhale, hands find the mat, maybe framing your front foot. Pivot onto the ball of your back foot and lift your front foot high in the sky, three-legged dog, and then lower to downward facing dog. Stay here and breathe, or option to take a vinyasa, shifting forward for high or low plank. Elbows stay close as we lower to the belly. Exhale here. And inhale might peel the sternum away from the mat, pressing into both arms. You could move through low cobra or come all the way up into upward facing dog. Pressing into the tops of the feet, skim the knees away from the mat as well, squeezing the glutes, opening the hips. Using the arms like springs, we'll lower to the mat again. Exhale here. Inhale here. An option to move through child's pose or meet me in downward facing dog. From here, we'll lift the other foot high in the sky if you choose. An exhale might bring the knee toward the nose, stepping forward. Pausing here. Back foot steps outward, pivoting on the ball of the foot until the heel comes down to the floor, taking somewhat of a 45-degree angle. Pressing into both feet, squeezing the pinky blade of the back edge of your back foot down into the ground. Front knee is bent. Reach up with both hands, strong warrior one on the other side. Exhale as you're ready to frame the front foot with your hands. Find the ball of your back foot behind you, runner's lunge. Send the front foot skyward. Three-legged dog, downward facing dog. You can move through a vinyasa, shifting towards plank, option to lower the knees, find your belly. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, lower. Maybe find child's pose. As you're ready, shifting shoulders forward over the hands, low plank moves to high plank. Press into your hands, lift your hips. Walk your hands and feet to meet in a fold. And roll up to standing slowly, breathing in, turning the thumbs outward, and finding the ground beneath your feet again. You're welcome to repeat that cycle for strength and warmth as many times as you choose. For today, we'll move into standing poses now if you're ready to practice a little balance. From your tall, steady mountain pose, I invite you to shift your weight into one foot, maybe peeling the other off the mat, and beginning to sit into the standing leg. Might just try that a few times. I'll show you from the side. So there's sort of a chair pose with one leg as you lift the other. In fact, let's try that. Let's take chair pose. Now just lift one leg. Maybe tap the floor on the other side of that knee. Does that make sense? The same thing, facing, lift, cross, tap the floor. Lift, cross, tap the floor. So we're staying low in the hips, in the standing leg. Next time, maybe you cross, you could stay there. Your toes might find the floor. Or if you're feeling feisty, you could wrap that foot all the way around the back of the calf. Arms are going to do a similar twist, bringing right elbow over left, if that's the same orientation of your legs. So this is balancing eagle pose. I'll show you again from the side. Lowering to chair, stand on one leg, lift the right to cross over, maybe making a kickstand or tucking the toes behind the calf, bending the elbows, crossing the elbows, forearms connect or continue wrapping. This is eagle pose. You can stay there as long as you'd like. Maybe return to that kind of shaking out in between sides. And as you're ready, we'll do the same thing on the other side, lowering to chair, staying low as we lift the other foot. As we feel balanced, we'll begin to cross the midline with the lifted knee, maybe crossing over the standing knee. You can make a kickstand as you stay, touching the toes to the floor on the other side of the standing leg, or maybe tucking them behind the calf, letting each side be different. You might notice one is more accessible on one side than the other. We'll do the same thing with the arms. If your left knee is lifted, your left elbow will cross on top. One more time. Sit low. Lift the foot and cross. Find your balance. And the arms can follow. Nice work. All right. As you're ready, we'll take this standing work to the floor with a slow squat. I invite you to lay down on your back. Notice flatness again. Maybe notice your heartbeat against the mat. Notice the sound of your breath. As you're ready, with knees bent, lifted towards the ceiling, your footprints are on the mat close to your hips, but with a little space. You might cross one ankle over the opposite thigh. Flex those toes towards the shin as the knee falls outward. This is enough. You can stay here. Or your grounded foot might lift, bringing your lap towards your chest. You could create resistance on your outward bent knee with the hand beneath it, resisting gravity, helping it find its way out to the side. Still flexing the toes towards the shin to protect that knee. Your other hand could reach behind the back of the other thigh, gently applying pressure, helping your lap come a little closer to your chest. You might notice some sensation on the outside or the back of your folded hip. You could choose to reach your hand through the window of your folded knee and maybe come to clasp the other fingers behind that lifted thigh. If you're bound in this way, you might find it's convenient to use your elbow to apply a little pressure to the inside of your outward bent knee, kind of still assisting with that resistance of gravity while your hand is still bound with the other behind your thigh. You can make this yours. Your shape might look different from mine. It could feel nice to rock from side to side. As you're ready, use your hands to assist as you release both feet, unwinding and placing them on the floor. Knees bent towards the ceiling. Notice the difference in sensation between each side, each hip. So you know where we're going, so as you're ready, you can cross the other ankle over the top of the opposite thigh. Again, flexing the toes towards your shin. Maybe choosing to lift your grounded foot, bringing your lap towards your chest. And use your hands for support. One could help bring your lifted thigh towards you, or press away on your folded knee. You can reach around your lifted thigh, moving through the window of your folded knee to clasp both hands behind the knee. Maybe pressing the inside of your folded leg, inside of that thigh with your elbow, pressing outward, offering support against gravity, noticing how that changes sensation in the hip. You might think about squeezing your folded knee towards you and then squeezing to press it away from you. Again, noticing how this changes the activation of the musculature in the thigh and the hip. Maybe moving the sensation of the angles of the pose. Again, you could rock from side to side if that feels nice. As you're ready, you can release your folded lap orientation, placing both feet on the mat.